blunt message to the American people today. Tens of thousands more lives will be lost in the months to come, even with the vaccine.
Our darkest days in the battle against COVID are ahead of us, not behind us.
With more than 2,500 Americans currently dying each day, President Trump again had no public events or comment on the pandemic, only focusing on what he called the rigged election. Mr. Biden suggested additional travel restrictions may be warranted as a new, more contagious strain emerges in the UK.
One of the things I'm waiting to get a response from my COVID team is whether or not we should require testing before they get on an aircraft to fly home, number one. And number two, when they get home, should they quarantine?
President Trump has also said little about the enormous hack that penetrated several government agencies and Fortune 500 companies. Today, Mr. Biden called Mr. Trump out for failing to respond.
This assault happened on Donald Trump's watch when he wasn't watching. He still has responsibility as president to defend American interests for the next 4 weeks. But rest assured, if he does not take it seriously, Bill
Called on the responsible, noting that it looked like Russia's doing. Attorney General Bill Barr and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo agree, but Mr. Trump said it may have been China and downplayed the seriousness of the hack. The president-elect was asked how he would respond.
Let us determine what the extent of the damage is, and I promise you, there'll be a response.
Meanwhile, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris's California Senate seat has been filled. On Twitter, Governor Gavin Newsom broke the news of his appointment to Secretary of State Alex Padilla, who would be the first Latino senator from the state.
I'm honored, man, and I'm humbled. I can't tell you how many pancakes my dad flipped or eggs he scrambled, trying to provide for us.
CBS News has learned Mr. Biden is nominating Connecticut Schools Commissioner Miguel Cardona as his new education secretary. Cardona, who taught public school earlier in his career, will be tasked with getting kids back in the classroom within Biden's first 100 days. Nora?
All right, Nicole Killian, thank you. And tonight we have a remarkable story about an 18-year-old college student from Georgia fighting to get out of jail in the Cayman Islands for breaking COVID isolation rules. She and her boyfriend were locked up, and her family is now pleading for help from the president. CBS's Meg Oliver has late developments in the case.
Today, 18-year-old Skylar Mack and her boyfriend had their lengthy 4-month prison sentences for violating the Cayman Islands COVID restrictions cut in half. The ordeal began November 27th when Mack, a pre-med student from Georgia, flew to the British Caribbean territory for her boyfriend, Vanjay Ramgeet's jet skiing competition. She was supposed to wear a monitoring bracelet and quarantine for 14 days.
She took multiple COVID tests when she arrived and throughout this period of time, and every single one of them has been negative.
But 2 days in, she removed the tracking device and went to watch her boyfriend compete. They both pleaded guilty to violating the quarantine,
which was that monitor, I'm sure, that she had to wear.
To perform 40 hours of community service, fines. The prosecutor that sentence, and a judge increased it to 4 months in jail. During sentencing, the judge called their action as breaches could be was born of selfishness and arrogance. Her family is now hoping the U.S. government
Everybody's in limbo, and trying to figure out what do we do. No one really wants to do Christmas without Skylar, so not sure what we'll do.
The family sent a letter directly to the White House asking President Trump to intervene. The State Department tells CBS News they are aware of the situation. For now, the reduced sentence stands, but according to the Cayman Islands, anyone who violates their COVID restrictions faces up to 2 years in prison. Nora?
Harsh sentence. Thank you. Well, tonight, Feed America says there's a 60% increase over last year in requests for food assistance. And it's not just lower-income Americans who need help, because the first round of stimulus